fightTIPS Sports, Shane and Francis, make sure to check out fightTIPS, awesome channel over there. And we've been breaking down UFC 200, and now we're going to move over to a little broader conversation, one that may piss off a few people, but it is a necessary conversation we have to have, especially after UFC 200, which kind of fell on its face a little bit. Do we know now, Shane, this is a question, and tread lightly, because we may cause an eruption in the comment section, but do we know, are other UFC stars still clear? Because now we have Jon Jones with a suspension that we don't know the details of yet, and we have Ronda Rousey, who was once a star, MIA from the sport, not stating whether or not she's going to come back and fight. Her division keeps changing hands. There's no dominant fighter in there. We have Conor McGregor, who's going to fight Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz seems to be more of the heroic figure, surprisingly now going from controversial to heroic figure. But if Conor McGregor loses, that's another star that may be fallen by the wayside. So the question is, do we know who the UFC stars are anymore?
You're right. There's a lot of people, and you missed a few too. You still got Rockhold, who's out against Bisping, but then there's the possibility for the rubber match. Who else? Dos Anjos now.
Yeah, Dos Anjos lost against Alvarez.
Eddie Alvarez, and is Eddie Alvarez a big draw? I mean, he's got a style where he can knock guys out, similar to Robbie Lawler, but even Robbie Lawler, is he that big of a draw anymore? You know, so it's a blurry line there. And what I would like to see is, like I said previously, was it would be cool to see the old boxing, which was, you know, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran. If there was like the rematches back and forth where we know we're guaranteed to see a good fight, is that going to happen? And is that the structure that UFC wants anyway, or do they want that one big draw? Because I think that's what it is.
Well, I think this is now, it's the repercussions of the own animal that they've built. They've built the system, which has been successful. I mean, they just sold for multi-billion dollars. I can't even grasp how much money it goes into the sport. But they kind of built this animal that was, we're going to push forward the controversial figures. We're going to push forward the guys that have that fill the seats, that draw in the figures. But if those guys start to lose, or if those guys end up suspended, or if those guys go by the wayside, where's the safety net? Who is the safety net? Because at the moment, our safety nets are Daniel Cormier. We don't know who he's going to fight, and his fighting style on paper to most neutral fans is boring. I find it still attractive. I still like to watch and see how wrestling plays a huge part in the sport. I know you agree, but some people don't, hence why the boos at UFC 200. We have, in the women's division, we have Amanda Nunes now, who is an attractive fighter, who's able to strike with such ferocity, but who's she going to fight now? Because we don't, the draw in that division was mostly Ronda Rousey, and then it passed over to Holly Holm because she defeated that giant, and then she gets defeated. So there's no real standout in that division. And then you have the next competitors who are looking to try and get a chance to fight Conor McGregor. But does that, I don't even know how to describe it, but does that sort of, the importance of fighting McGregor fall away if he loses? If he loses to Nate Diaz, then is it important for him to go forward and fight Jose Aldo, another figure who was once a major draw and still is a good fighter to watch, but his fight against Edgar wasn't emphatic either. And this is not just my thoughts, by the way. This is the thoughts of general public. There was a lot of boos that were echoing around the UFC because more often than not, UFC fans have to understand that core UFC fans will always return, but the reason the sport is getting to where it is because there's a lot of neutral fans who just want to see people fight each other going there, and that's what's selling the seats. So we are in this kind of cloudy space at the moment.
No, I agree, and I think now that McGregor's first loss to Diaz certainly lost him fans, or at least allowed people who were quiet and didn't like him at first. Now they're opening their mouth. You look on his Instagram now; I'd say it's 50-50. Hate and love towards him. If he loses again to Diaz, I think the people who are hardcore McGregor fans are gonna stay fans. But a lot of people are gonna be like, he's a has-been. He's done now. I mean, they're still not as many people are gonna pay to watch him against Aldo. He'll still be a big draw. I think it's not so much his record that draws people in. It's the way he speaks. It's his antics. Because a lot of people make that mistake. I think Floyd Mayweather, maybe Ronda Rousey added to this, but a lot of people believe you have to be undefeated in order to be a big star. But Conor McGregor wasn't. You know, a lot of these fighters that are big weren't. Dominic Cruz is another one now. Is he a big draw? Yes, but then he gets injured all the time with knee injuries. So there's another one.
And we talk about it as well quite a lot. Me and Jason are huge fans of Mighty Mouse, Demetrious Johnson, but the guy's a nice guy. Like he's a gamer, which is awesome. And there's videos of him going around where he's interrupted mid-gaming for a drug test, and like that was hilarious. Is it enough to draw in that neutral audience that just want to come in and see that fighting style of people knocking each other out, that charismatic figure. And if I'm going to be honest, I don't know anymore. Like, I think that is Dana White does. I think he has his work cut out now to adjust the way the sport's going to go and these figures that are going to draw people in. Because Brock Lesnar undoubtedly was one of the main reasons why people filled the seats still, even with Jon Jones out, because Brock Lesnar's a huge draw as well. But he's still got an allegiance to WWE. That's still where, let's be honest, he's still going to make money in the WWE. He's still going to be able to go about his business the same way. He's not going to put him. He is putting himself at risk, by the way, not to piss off the WWE fans. He's still going through an unbelievable amount of athletic strain. But things are predicted there for him. Things are unpredictable in UFC. He could lose, and then all of a sudden he's back to the bottom of the pile in that division.
Yeah.
So
no, you're absolutely right.
It's for the first time in UFC, I think, after UFC 200, we're at the point now where the stars are not as clear as what they were. The stars are not there that we have all been drawn to see. So do you think that this is all kind of a domino effect now from Jon Jones? Do you think that could be an accurate statement?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's accurate.
You can disagree. I'm not going to throw you out the studio. I might not fill your parking.
What I want is people to be excited about fights, not about a fighter.
Me too.
A certain
So do
fighter.
I.
Because that's I love style versus style. I love seeing stuff like that, and it is mixed martial arts. You know, you want to see is the wrestler going to beat the Muay Thai fighter and stuff like that, or is the more well-rounded guy the one that's the best?
Yeah.
You know, that's what it started on with UFC 1. Now that we're at UFC 200, people are booing that it's a wrestler against Anderson Silva.
And do you think? But that's my point, and I'm in the same boat. I love styles. Like the idea of like Brock Lesnar coming in and testing his wrestling ability, the two-time NCAA champion, not just his WWE background, and seeing how that weighs up in a no-holds-barred, basically full-on physical combat fight. That's intriguing to me. But does it sell? Does the pay-per-view buys roll in? Are the seats filled? Because we see that there was booze, and we see, is this now an animal that has gotten too big because it's sold now? The money is, they often, like Dana White in past statements has said, we're not for sale. Right. This is not for sale. This is our sport. We're passionate about it. But everything has a price. And that price, unfortunately, in every single sport, needs villains. It needs those unpredictable, controversial figures to rise to the top. And now I think if you were to tell Dana White now that one of his biggest stars is Nate Diaz, if he had any hair, he'd pull his hair out, because this guy's unpredictable as well. Because I love Nate Diaz. I love everything he stands for. But is Nate Diaz always going to be there when you need him to step out for fights? He doesn't turn down any fights. Right. But the guy is not as reliable in terms of what you're going to want him to go forward and produce. So we're left in this cloudy area in UFC. But nonetheless, we're still going to tune in, and we're still going to watch every single card that comes our way, because we love fighting. So make sure to let us know what you think in the comment section below. Are the stars a little more cloudy than what they were before? Who is the go-to that you want to see in the UFC? Make sure to check out Shane. Shane, where can they check you out on Twitter?
fightTIPS on Twitter.
fightTIPS, and at fightTIPS on YouTube. Awesome content over there. Really is doing some good stuff over there. So make sure to stay tuned to us as well. Thanks again for 300,000 subs. It was a long time coming. Let's get to 400,000 even quicker. And maybe I'll jump in the octagon or the ring with Shane, and that can pay tribute to that. Stay tuned to TYT Sports and come back again.